Welcome to Season 4 of AIHA's podcast series, The Healthier Workplaces Show, where we explore timely and informative topics about occupational and environmental health and safety to help you improve your workplace. I'm your host, Alejandro Castillo. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Industrial Hygienist Mike Ierardi. Mike, currently a senior consultant at Integral, is an occupational and environmental health and safety expert with 10 years of experience in consulting, project management, and research. His career demonstrates his effective time management and persuasive communication skills. His expertise spans to many areas, including exposure science, safety, occupational toxicology, and epidemiology. Mike is an active member of several AIHA volunteer groups, including the Pride Special Interest Group. He founded this volunteer group in 2022 to incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion in the IH and OEHS professions in regards to professionals in the LGBTQ plus community. Today we're here to talk about Mike's career in OEHS and learn more about the Pride Special Interest Group. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Let's start from the beginning. How did you discover OEHS and what made you become so interested in this field?
Yeah, so I think for myself, like many other people, didn't really know what industrial hygiene was. I didn't grow up wanting to be an industrial hygienist. I grew up like, I think many other people at the conference wanting to be a doctor, interested in science, helping people. I got to college and took my first environmental science class though, and I really liked learning about how the environment affected human health and all about kind of prevention, kind of being on the other end of it versus like a clinical side. So really got into that, kind of changed my trajectory. I had a consulting job right out of school and still didn't know what industrial hygiene was at that point. I had gotten my degree in environmental studies, environmental health. So had heard about occupational health a little bit, but didn't really know what that looked like necessarily. So after coming into my first consulting role, worked with a lot of industrial hygienists, CIHs, some with epidemiologists, working with some epidemiologists and toxicologists, and I kind of was trying to get a sense of what I enjoyed the most out of all of those kinds of those career paths, and just kind of fell in love with industrial hygiene. I thought it was a great way to make an impact, protect human health, all kind of like values that I had when I was kind of growing up and thinking about what I wanted to do with my career. And so it's just been a great profession. It's really a tight-knit community that feels so collaborative, and everyone wants to just do the right thing, you know? So it's been a great community to be a part of.
That's great to hear. Is there a particular moment in your career that is like a special highlight for you that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to get into it a little bit with the Pride group, but I really think that there's been kind of the cherry on top of my career so far. I'm about 10 years into my career.
And there's still more room to grow.
Still room to grow, but really Pride has been such a pride and joy to be able to really have a organization that supports that mission, those goals that we've established, and really help us to grow it. And I've worked with a fabulous group of co-founders to establish Pride, and we're 3 years in now, and it's growing. We're getting a lot of new interest, and so it's just been something special that I think it's been great to help create.
And for the audience, how do you spell this group?
So it's also everything capital, PR, parenthesis, IH, parenthesis, DE. So we get the little IH marketing in there as well.
I love that. Whoever came up with that was brilliant.
Yeah, I was sitting on my couch one day after the conference where I kind of brainstormed this idea with one of my coworkers at the time, Justine Parker, who's now the secretary-elect of AIHA. So after brainstorming at a conference in Nashville, I went back home and kind of chewed on it a bit, and I was on my couch one night and I was like, oh, Pride has an I in it, IH, let's just put it into a parenthesis and stick it in there.
Yeah, when I saw that during my research, I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like, I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tell me more about the group.
Yeah, so Small But Mighty Group, we formed in July of 2022 after being unanimously approved by the board of directors, which was really exciting. We started to have officer meetings that fall, slowly building kind of what we wanted to do with the group. And by December of 2022, we were having group meetings. And so I think for the past couple of years, we've been pretty internally focused, trying to get the ground underneath us as a group as we grow from this infancy stage, creating charters, creating some limited resources for professionals. We published a Synergist article in, I think that was 2023 now, about just stories of being an out professional in the OEHS workplace. Those stories weren't really out there yet. So really trying to do a lot of, I think, internal marketing within the IH community to advertise this group, to let people know that it's out there, they're ready to join. So we went from about 30 members in our first year, and nearly half of those are actually new volunteers to AIHA volunteer groups at all.
That's great.
Yeah, so it was really exciting to have that kind of new energy coming into a group. And so each year since then, we've kind of grown by 10 or 12 people. I think we're just hit the 50 member mark.
Impressive.
Hoping to add a few more after this conference. We had a successful annual meeting yesterday.
Great.
And just have a lot of exciting things that we're working on and we're hoping to accomplish.
So tell me about the exciting things you're working on. What missions do you have?
Yeah, so we're hoping to do a white paper. We're actually calling it internally a rainbow paper, talking about
I love that.
the hazards potentially faced by the LGBTQ plus community in workplaces. So that's kind of an idea that's stemming from that Synergist article. We're also working with AIHA to create a non-binary IH hero. So putting a personality behind there to kind of come into the IH hero. We're also working to potentially create scholarships one day, named awards for posters. So again, a lot of different things that we're working on and taking kind of the models that other volunteer groups have set up for us and seeing what works for our group so that we can continue to grow. I think we have a really energetic, passionate group. And I'm excited to see what the next 3-4 years hold while we're in this kind of early formation stage. But hopefully we'll be like MSIG one day and celebrating our 25-year formation anniversary.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's keep it simple. Tell me the why. Why was this group formed? And from your personal point of view, what is your why?
Yeah, well, I think AIHA is such a strong community, and when I started to first attend conferences, I believe my first one was in 2018, after again I had really decided I wanted to pursue IH further for my career. So I attended a conference and really was just kind of overwhelmed, but in a really good way, of just how kind of strong this community is and how exciting it is, and so collaborative. And so community has been a kind of a common thread for me at AIHA, and also kind of my personal values. I have very strong personal relationships with my family and friends, and relationships, community are really important to me. So I was so pleasantly surprised to see that in a professional organization. However, when I got here, being a gay professional, I wasn't quite out at that time, to the extent that I am professionally at least. But I got here and I was like, okay, where are the other LGBTQ plus folks? There wasn't really a great way to identify those individuals and kind of see like what my career could potentially look like, kind of being out in the workplace, in the profession. So I attended a couple of conferences, and then obviously the pandemic happened. We went virtual for a while and really lost that sense of community.
Of course, that connection, right?
That connection, that personal connection, which was so important. And so when we finally came back in Nashville for our first in-person after the pandemic in 2022, I remember walking into that opening session and just being, again, amazed by the thousands of people that were here that all shared a common mission, and really just being, again, overwhelmed, a renewed sensation of being overwhelmed by that sense of community. But with that came, okay, but where's the LGBTQ plus community? I have my IH community, but where's kind of that specific community within here? So just that renewed kind of wondering. And so that was really the impetus of creating the group. I wanted to make it apparent that we are here, we're part of the profession, and we want to have a group that is ready to support the community, both within the profession to provide mentorship and opportunities, and then also as we grow and to kind of create that external support as well. So supporting LGBTQ plus workers in the workforce, those are the workers that we're supporting. So it was really just Pride happened in order to be a way to kind of even make the small IH community even smaller for the LGBTQ plus community and our allies.
I have to ask, what was it like to experience the first meeting, and how was the latest meeting? How different was it?
Yeah, I mean, that was, so 2018, 6 years ago, I feel like they're completely different experiences for me. I came in in 2018, very timid, my first conference, and just being overwhelmed by the sights, the sounds, the conversations that were happening. So really tried to take as much of it in as I could, but did feel very like, okay, I gotta tread slowly here, make connections slowly. And so I don't know if I took full advantage of it in those early couple years. But after forming Pride and really creating close networks with other volunteers and AHA staff, and really getting ingrained with the organization, this year I feel like I've been running around. My lower back hurts from standing, and it's been just like a fabulous conference, and but again, kind of leaps and bounds different from my first one, which felt a little bit insecure. I feel very confident walking through everywhere, and just excited to be a part of it and giving back now.
So you think you can communicate? Submit a short, self-recorded video highlighting your OEHS story. Participate for the chance to win a $250 gift card. Entries are due by July 24th, 2025.
So you have presented a lot at Connect 2025. What did you do and what did you learn?
Yeah, so that was a great, the Lessons in Leadership session took place over 2 days, and it was a great session for early career professionals and students to meet our named award winners this year, 2025 recipients, as well as Nicole Greason, current president of AIHA. So really good FaceTime and opportunities to hear lessons from leaders in the field. So I think there were about 8 named award winners that gave a tip to the early career professionals and students.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's nice to kind of get that closer, intimate connection with leaders in the field and hear their stories of how they got to where they are. Oftentimes it's hard to see that movement, that pathway.
Is there a certain tip that you heard it and you walked out and it's still with you?
So I think one of the highlights, I mean, they were all great tips and things that now as I'm emerging from early career professional stage, which I still can't believe that I'm more than 10 years into my own career.
Congrats.
Thanks. But one of the ones that stood out was being able to recognize how others make you feel, especially in a workplace, how managers make you feel, and being able to, especially good managers who are kind of fostering and cultivating that kind of sense of self and identity and confidence, recognizing when that's happening to you so that you can then kind of take that feeling and pass it on to the next generation. So I think a lot of what was talked about in the Lessons in Leadership was about community building, networking, and one of those things I think was just kind of the paying it forward. Like, yes, you're an early career professional and student right now, you are learning, but really kind of making mental notes of those things that stood out to you that others have done to help you progress in your career so that you can then help others when you get to
prosper
that stage, prosper and help the community, the profession continue to flourish. So I think that was one of the main takeaways, and I think that was the point of the Lessons in Leadership was to hear those tips, hear those stories, bring up other people up after you've kind of achieved.
I love that. It's its own little domino effect.
Exactly.
Of growth.
It makes the community stronger, it makes the profession stronger,
Yes.
and it makes everything that we do for workers that much better.
Walk me through the other session you presented.
Yeah, so on Monday morning, we also participated in a session called Founding a Movement, Leadership Through Advocacy. Jennifer Shu, who's part of the Women in IH group, kind of ideated this and formed, organized us together. And it was basically the founders of Pride, Minority Special Interest Group, MSIG, as well as Women in IH, got together and shared our stories of the how and why we formed our group. So similar to what we were kind of just talking about here today. just putting the face behind the group and telling the history of it. So MSIG has been around for 25 years and has a really rich history that we've got to learn and hear the why behind. Women in IH, a little older than Pride, 6 or 7 years, so and then Pride being 3 years old. So you got to kind of see the volunteer groups at different stages and the different paths that they took to being formed and to getting to where they are today. So that was kind of the point of that education session, was to let members know why these volunteer groups are here, how they were formed, and we also talked about challenges that we felt that we faced along the way, our hopes and dreams for each of our groups. So it was a great way to, for us, I think, on the panel, to reflect on where we've been and where we're going, and then also share that with the larger membership who maybe aren't familiar with our group so much.
Talk to me about the Ask Me feature.
So the Ask Me Anything session was also on Monday later in the day. So that was actually Pride's first official education session that we've been able to organize.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, it was very exciting. It was a great panel of myself, Jake Shedd, who is the current chair of Pride, and then Kim Henry, our secretary. And so it was a very conversational session here on the main stage. Talked about what Pride meant to us, shared some of our experiences being out professionals. And it was really just, it was in the title, Ask Me Anything. We wanted the audience to ask questions that they wanted to know and hear our thoughts on. And we also got great audience participation in terms of sharing their own stories of being out professionals and allies in the audience as well, who were maybe a little bit surprised to hear some of our stories and some of the challenges that LGBTQ plus people have in the workplace, and kind of the constant thinking, okay, is it safe here for me to come out or talk about certain things? So I think I hope it was an eye-opening experience for some, and it was certainly an educational, insightful session for me as well.
I think it's going to be very impactful. I think the people in the audience are going to feel more inclusive, like you said, and I really think this is a great first step to just a better, healthier work environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Better work environment, better professional community. I walked away from that from Monday, though it was very busy, lots of things going on. I felt very full. My heart was warm. It was just a renewed sense of, oh, I love this profession and I love the community that we've built.
Last question.
Yeah.
If somebody's interested in joining the Pride Special Interest Group, what would you tell them?
Yeah, reach out to any of the current volunteer group leaders, myself, Jake Shedd, April Clayton, Kim Henry, Caroline Mosley. Visit our webpage on the AIHA larger webpage, Pride. Google us, PER, parentheses, IHDE, SIG at AIHA. Yeah, thanks. And fill out the membership interest form, and so you can get on the listserv right away. But again, happy to kind of field any questions that anyone might have, so they can reach out to us personally as well.
Absolutely. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, Alejandro.
That wraps up today's episode of the Healthier Workplaces Show. To learn more, visit the AIHA website and follow us on social media. Listeners, thank you for tuning in, and as always, remember that healthier workplaces means a healthier world. Until next time.